Welcome, acolytes. Now, Ragging Golden Eagle has a very interesting thematic for me that could eventually even hit me. Germany wants war, but Gen Z says no. And just in case you are wondering why, I'm gonna explain it pretty quickly. Nobody's stupid enough to grow up since fucking 20 years in a country that despises every single veteran that they had, shows them that they are worthless. If they come back, they get shit on, the land is crumbling, and then, well, seeing all of this, of course, young people will say, fuck this, why would I? Because there is nothing except for shit for them in there. There isn't, and even if, why would I protect a broken country that will instantly shit on me after I come back? It just doesn't make sense. Now does it? But, let's just hear what he has to say. Of course, the edgy intro. I just have to respect this edgy intro. This is just
so
golden.
as Orange Man threatens to pull out of NATO, or at least to make Europe fight their own battles, if Germany in particular wants to fight Putin, first they're gonna have to find people willing to fight for them. Because they're not willing to go themselves, and yet they're so indignant when other people won't go fight and die for their beliefs.
Correctly.
German army struggles to get Gen Z recruits ready for war. Bundeswehr has a high dropout rate, and the number of conscientious objectors is rising. So
that's correct. And I would say every single person that is so freaking strong, going out on the streets, pretending they give a shit, every single one of those should go out and fight the war themselves. Because Gen Z is fucked right now. But this is just, yes, this is what you get. And of course, when Trump and by the way, I find it beautiful what Trump is doing right now. I'm just gonna say it like that. I find it fucking funny how he treats everybody around him. This will really, probably, in a high degree, just excel the process of, I hope, Germany healing itself, because there will be other people in charge, or at least I hope so.
How about this? Everyone who supports the war gets sent to boot camp and they fight.
Yes.
I bet we'd suddenly get way less Warhawks if that happened.
Yep.
Oh, you want to go to war so bad? Well, here's your boots, your uniform, and your gun. Get to it, sister.
Yep.
You care so much about Ukraine, go liberate them. Man, we'd see a lot less virtue signaling if that was the case.
Yep.
Because all of these people that support going to war, they think they're going to make someone else go to war for them. As a podcaster and freelance journalist, Ole Nimoen admits he enjoys the freedom of expression and other democratic rights in his home country of Germany, but he would not want to die for them.
Yep.
I beg to differ. I think most people can differentiate between a legitimate threat to their country and being expected to fight and die for someone else's interests. It's the latter that most people rightly don't want to have anything to do with.
This is a very interesting point, and even most people that are living here right now feel the exact same way in their country. As you are living right now here, they are feeling this right now as citizens of this country in their country, not just for the Ukraine thing.
Like, yeah, look, if my country and my family was legitimately under attack and under threat, you know, that's a different story than expecting me to die for another country.
Correctly.
Or for the financial interests of my leaders.
Yes.
Who I didn't even vote for that matter. But anyway. In a book published this week, Why I Would Never Fight for My Country, the 27-year-old argues ordinary people should not be sent into battle on behalf of nation states or their rulers, even to fend off an invasion. Occupation by a foreign power might lead to a shitty life, but I'd rather be occupied than dead. Oh, no. The real question is, what if the occupiers are actually preferable as rulers to your current government?
Correctly.
What if you're being invaded by a country whose ideology you actually agree with more? Would you really fight for your country in that situation?
You wouldn't.
Or would you just be looking for every opportunity to defect? Nimon, a self-described Marxist. Hey, this is what happens when you breed Marxists, too. These guys are literal parasites that will never contribute anything.
Yep.
They will expect you to, though. It does not claim to be representative of Generation Z in Germany, but his stance and his striking honesty taps into a wider questions facing Europe as it rearms on a scale that has not been seen since the end of the Cold War. He looks the part. Yeah. Berlin has poured close to $100 billion or euros into new equipment for the Bundeswehr, the German armed forces, since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in current year -3. Chancellor in waiting Friedrich.
Oh no. Yeah, and they, by the way, Berlin gets this money back. It will be taken from every private citizen that has any kind of money in their, bank account. October, as it stands right now, so yes. Nice.
Merz has announced plans to allow unlimited borrowing to fund defense spending, as he has promised to do whatever it takes to protect freedom and peace in Europe. But while these funds are helping to plug the gaps in arms and equipment, one of the biggest remaining issues is manpower.
Yeah.
Germany's Armed Forces Commissioner Eva Högel said this week, warned that the country was not closer to its goal of having 203,000 active troops by current year +6. And the overall size of the armed forces slightly declined last year. Partly because of the high number of dropouts, a quarter of the 18,810 men and women who signed up in current year -2 left the armed forces within 6 months.
Yep.
Well, why don't you have your the equivalent of the French Foreign Legion and just have the migrants earn their citizenship? There you go. Or
oh, that would be a good idea. Whoa. No, that would be racist, wouldn't it?
Or have the they-thems enlist. I mean, I'm sure they had their own Two Moms commercial. All I know is the white men aren't going to be rushing to enlist. Not after being vilified for so long. Like, nah, I'm not going to die for a country that hates me. I'd rather take my risks under Putin. Yeah, they can use woman power if they don't have the manpower. That's a good point. This development must be stopped and reversed as a matter of urgency. So the Bundeswehr's spokesperson told the FT, or Financial Times, the military has taken steps to try to stem the outflow of young recruits, including a notice period to avoid last-minute emotional decisions. So their way to stop the outflow is, please don't. We need you. Please don't. We're not going to pay you anymore. We're not going to give you anything you want, but please don't. We're not going to make it worth your while, but please don't.
Correctly.
Think about everyone else. You're selfish for not just being everyone else's bitch.
Correctly.
I say let's make the politicians that keep pushing for war with Russia. Arm them. Send them to the front lines. Give them what they want. Yeah, because emotional blackmail still works. It's all they have. It's literally the only tactic in their book. That's why they're so clueless as to what to do when it doesn't work anymore. They don't know anything else. Now, one senior army commander said members of Gen Z, renowned for their in the business world for their efforts to reshape corporate culture, were also going into the armed forces with different ideals and outlooks. People are vulnerable. They cry easily, he said. They talk about work-life balance. Yeah, these people don't make good warriors. That's for damn sure. But hey, you guys raised them this way. Like, you realize that, right?
Yes.
So all of the older generation that's talking shit about how useless and soft the new generation is, who raised them this way? They didn't turn out this way in a fucking vacuum.
Correctly.
Let me guess, you did everything right. You did nothing wrong. You did everything correct. And they all just ended up this way, huh?
Yes.
Roblox's fault, yeah. I understand that, the commander added. They grew up in a different time. It's not a bad perspective, but it doesn't match well with a wartime situation. To be fair, all that's going to happen, like most of them aren't even going to get a chance to see any combat anyway. They're probably just going to get drone bombed in their vehicle or something, unfortunately.
Correctly.
Yep. How it works in current year. As Europe has again reckoned with the fear of an aggressive Russia, the continent's political and military leaders have dramatically stepped up their language about what they expect from the public. You mean the same public you betrayed over the past few years?
Exactly.
You literally have a foreign invasion coming into your country, and you're siding with the foreign invaders over your own people? And now you're going to lecture your people about what you expect from them? This is not going to go as well for you as you seem to think it is. Although it'll make it very funny to see. So senior Airstrip 1 General Sir Patrick Sanders last year told the British people that they were part of a pre-war generation and that may have to prepare itself to enter combat. In Germany, whose 1949 constitution includes a commitment to promoting global peace, Defense Minister Boris Pistorius last year caused a shock by declaring the nation to be ready for war.
By the way, this would have been extremely simple to actually resolve. Just don't make military people look like freaks. Show them respect. And voila, suddenly it's fine. Pay them well, show them respect, show them some future, but it's just irrelevant right now. The instant I get an invite in some kind of way that I should just go in military, I will piss off the freaking second I get it. They're not gonna get me because of health reasons, or they won't take me. Good, by the way, acolytes. I am just too thin, like a lich, only skin and bone. So there's that. But at the end of the day, I literally wouldn't take the people, the immigrants that went in, let them go to fight for the country that actually supports them greatly. Simple as that.
Warnings have escalated.
Damn it, this video is getting demonetized.
Since Orange Man returned to the White House in January and began pushing Ukraine to agree to a ceasefire, as well as threatening to withdraw long-standing U.S. security guarantees for Europe. We'll see how long all their social programs last when they have to pay for their own defense, too. That's going to be interesting. Donald Tusk, Prime Minister of Poland, last week said his country was preparing for large-scale military training for every adult male.
Yeah.
What about gender equality? Does that not matter anymore? So Germany has not gone that far. Top officials from the...
Oh yeah, Donald Tusk isn't a German thing. It's a Polish guy. I'm actually a fan of his, but he's still in Europe, so there's that. And Polish people are a little bit different. It's... How was it called? American military guy actually said it on point. Little Texas. So yeah.
Christian Democrats and the Social Democrats, the two parties likely to form the next government, have ruled out a revival of traditional conscription for now. Merz favors a year of national service that would offer military and non-military options. I think that's what Germany used to have. Apparently, they stopped that at some point. I guess they're just going to bring it back. Still, the question remains as to what extent...
Yeah, forced conscription was a thing. You actually could pick if you go for Zivildienst or Bundeswehr. If you picked a Zivildienst, you just went in. You just made... you worked in a hospital or something like that just for basically for people. If you went to Bundeswehr, well, then you went to the Bundeswehr. And the force thing got shut down. Nobody has to do it anymore. And you could for a while also make, if I recall correctly, because this is years ago, You could have picked, if you want, a Bundeswehr directly, like you go pow pow pow, ping ping and such, or a inner, like more of a Zivildienst thing where you just work in a bureau and do that instead.
Extent the population in Europe are willing to accept the cost to join up for armed forces in much larger numbers. After being so thoroughly betrayed and backstabbed by their governments for so long, I really don't think they're going to be very willing at all. Like, well, no, you love migrants so much. Why don't you make them go to war for you? You've been siding with them against us in just about every issue.
Correctly.
Why would we help you? Well, no, you occupy us, betray us, and then expect us to die for you? Nope. Sophia Besch, a senior fellow at the Washington-based Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, said that although the threat perception among the European public was changing rapidly, the next step that the governments are asking citizens to make is a huge one. I want to fight for my country, and I want my children to fight for my country. The same country that betrayed me, I'm now expected to die for. I'll get right on that.
Correctly.
Besch said that nations, including Germany, lack the deep trust and shared understanding of a threat between citizens and government that have been forged in places such as Finland, where which is famed for its decades-long focus on preparedness for an attack from Russia. Moreover, she added, the worst-case scenario, young Germans are more likely than not be asked to fight for their own country, but for Latvia or some other frontline nation. We have to ask ourselves what young Germans would be willing to fight for today. Is it Germany? Is it the European project? Oh, better yet, just send everyone who wants to fight, everyone who's in favor of war, send them to the front line.
Send the protesters.
We'll see how many of them still want to do it. Since Russia's full-scale Ukraine invasion, Germany has had a steep rise in the number of conscientious objectors, including both regular soldiers and part-time reservists. The figure has reached 2,998 last year, up from 200 in current year, -4. Damn. Compared to the total size of what their military should be, that should be nothing. Klaus Pfister of the German Peace Society, United War Registers, a campaign group, said many of them did military service years ago before conscription was abolished in current... Oh, okay, that's when it was. So I guess they stopped doing it in current year -14. Because I know my cousins had to do that. Like, they all had to do their time in the military or in the civilian alternative. Yeah, now they have to bring it back, huh? Had them been assigned as reservists in previous years, it had not seemed like a difficult commitment. But today, against the current global backdrop, they see the decision in a completely different light. Of course they do. Because they've been betrayed by their country for years at this point. They're not going to want to die for them. Are you nuts? Christian Moling, Europe director at the Bertelsmann Foundation, estimates that German troop numbers need to rise from 181,000 today to 270,000 in the years ahead in order to reach NATO targets and fill the gaps left if American forces stationed in Europe withdraw. That's going to get interesting if that happens. So that excludes reserve forces, which currently stand at 60,000, but the defense officials have said it must rise to 260,000. Moling said the Bundeswehr needed to drastically improve its recruitment campaigns to compete in a tight and competitive labor market, as well as doing more to modernize the military and make it an appealing employer. It can
just make it a respectable position, and the problem is solved. And if they come back, don't let them freaking die in a ditch. And everybody who speaks Scots against them, well, show them where the fucking grass grows and let them chew on it.
Be a mimicry where you pretend you're a modern army. You have to do it. But many young Germans simply may simply be fundamentally opposed to the idea of signing up. Last month's federal elections resulted in two parties opposing arming Ukraine, the far-right Alternative for Germany and the far-left Die Linke, claiming almost half the votes of those aged 18 to 24. In a recent survey by the pollster YouGov...
Yeah, here it is. By the way, this is already a lie. A factual right. The far-right Alternative for Germany, Alternative für Deutschland, isn't far-right. This is just a statement made. And this is why people are saying, okay, if they lie about that, well, fuck it. Fuck me.
Those aged 18 to 24. A recent survey by the pollster YouGov found 58% of Germans would support a return to conscription. Only a third of those aged 18 to 29 felt the same. Okay, when it comes to conscription, that should be a vote that's only limited to those who would be conscripted.
Yes,
if
correctly.
you're older, like if
Yes.
you're above the age of conscription and you vote.
For those who should get conscripted, and for those who were already in the military, they should also have the right to vote on it because they know how it is.
Vote for it, you should have to go through it yourself.
Yes.
Then we'll see how many of them support it. It's easy to vote for war when you're sending someone else to do it.
Correctly.
It's easy to vote for conscription when you're going to be conscripting other people.
Correctly.
Make them put their money where their mouth is, though, and we'll see if they still feel the same. Nimon himself, a Die Linke voter, is deeply suspicious of Europe's race to rearm. It was all very well for European leaders to sound belligerent, he said. The thing is that in the end, it's going to be me in the trenches. Yeah, he may be a Marxist, but he's right about that. Yeah, all of these politicians talking smack, knowing full well that it's going to be you that they're going to be sending to die. They're not going to do it. They're not going to go. They're going to make sure their families are going to leave the country. Yeah, they're going to send their families off to safety.
Yes.
They're going to make you and your family go die, though. Yeah, we're quickly getting to the point where I would not follow a leader who's not willing to get into the trenches with me. Yeah,
Correctly.
if you expect me to be dying on the front lines while you run to the safety of America.
That's why I say lead like a wolf, not like an ape. A wolf will jump in and do exactly the same thing you have to do, or at least know what to do, or at least or done it in the same way. Because of course there are some people that are just tactically smarter, so they should be in the back. That's logical, but they should have went through the shit that the foot soldiers already did, and this just won't happen.
Or somewhere else. Nah, man, that shit ain't gonna fly in current year. Should have never flown, to be honest. But I'm glad people are starting to wake up, though.
Yeah, it could be a bit too late, that's the problem. But fully agree with him. This is bollocks. No normal human or thinking human being should even consider this as an option. And the only way we can do it, well, over time, let the people that actually want this, send them in, every single one. Don't force others that are against it in it. Just those who are for war, so they can put their, how is it called, their words into action. The rest, well, can go F themselves. But as it is, acolytes, good night.